How's it going, everybody? Sorry I'm about, I don't know, 2 weeks late. As you might be able to hear, I'm kind of still getting over a bit of a cold. So, I'm coming at you today with Mutation X version 2. I gotta tell you, this thing packs a ton of airflow. Not only does it have the 9 airflow holes like the version 1 did, but then it comes standard with that gigantic hole and this to fill that gigantic hole. So even mostly closed off, she really produces quite a bit of vapor. And with them mostly closed off, you can get a pretty intense hit of the flavor. Of course, all the way open, when you think about it, you're going to lose flavor because there's so much airflow just coming into the coil. Oh, excuse me. And then plus you've got this gigantic thing out here, you're going to lose flavor. But here's fully open. I mean, it takes a pretty hot vape and makes it very cool. Because this is about 0.2, and it feels more like I'm vaping on a 0.6 ohm coil. It's kind of ridiculous. But, that's it for the outside. We're going to dive in, show you what's underneath the hood, and give you a closer look at the Mutation X version 2. So, here we go. Alright, so when you buy the Mutation X version 2, this is the pretty little box it's going to come in. And you can see, right there, sticks out a little. Well, that's your 510 pin. Alright, so we'll open this bad boy up. And then, of course, there's all sorts of little literature. And then you open it up, and bam! There it is. So, to start with, here's your build deck. Now, for those of you that have the Mutation X version 1, you'll see that they did the T-post design, which, as most of you know, is one of my favorite designs in RDA technology. Now, it does have a very deep juice well, not quite as deep as Mutation X version 1, and you can see here, these little screws here, yeah, those are triangular. It's a little weird, but it works. So, we set the deck aside, and we pull out the body. And when we finally decided to go with some art on here, you can kind of see it. It's a little tribal design. It says Mutation X V2. So yeah, the body itself, not too much different. But I open this up, and we still have the 9 holes. But this is a little bit different, and also a little sharp. So, as you can see, you can close it off like this, and lo and behold, this hole here is open. So, hey, you can have a single coil. How about that? And then, of course, fully open all the way, you would use these slots. But you can see in here that close them off, and they close off much more efficiently than the version 1, which just had the straight blocks down. So you can actually get quite a bit of customization. And of course, they've added this monstrosity of a drip tip. Let's see. Now, this is kind of juiced up, so it'll go in and out a lot easier. But when you first get it, expect it to not go in with that easily. We had to fight with it for a while to get it to go in. So there is that. And then we'll put the build deck in. Now the O-ring tension on here is kind of ridiculous. I mean, I'm a big old boy, and I'm having to really fight with this thing here to get it to go on. We'll adjust this camera a little. There you go. Practically have to throw it on a device just to make sure it fits down in there. So yeah, be prepared for that. And I've juiced those O-rings up, and it still acts like that. Getting it off's a little bit easier, but there you go. Also inside the box, we have a wonderful little bag of goodies, like extra O-rings, 4 extra screws, which I thought was really nice, and then this handy little tool, which has the triangular head. Let's see if I can get up there. Anyway, it's got the triangular head that fits in on these screws. Try not to lose it. We have found that the triangular needle file will fit in there and will actually give you a little bit of extra bite, but at the same time, you don't want to mess up your screws doing that. So that's it. That's the box. And then, of course, on the back side of the box, Shinsen Unisig Technology Company Limited, and all the ways of getting a hold of them. Yeah. So that's the take. That's the look down here. I'm gonna go back up, give you pros, cons, talk about it a little more, vape it, of course, and I think we'll be good to go. So here we go. That's a third of the way closed. However, with the tension on these bottom ones, it makes it a lot easier to just take this part off and then drip your juice in. Because I've never been able to successfully drip all the way through the drip tip and onto the coils. You have to be able to do it. I guess I'm just not cool. So, I'm going to talk about some of the pros, some of the cons, you know, let you know a little bit more about it, because I know that there's been a lot of reviews of this thing, and they all pretty much say the exact same thing. Now, keep in mind that this is an authentic RDA, and since I didn't pull it up earlier, I'm going to use my handy-dandy blue iPhone real quick and find the price point for the Mutation X version 2. I believe we paid like $35. So, and that was at a local brick and mortar. Now we'll take a look. Oh, boy, I'm just full of bodily noises today. So yeah, from Vapor DNA, you can purchase it for $29.99. That's a pretty solid price for what it is. So that's definitely got to be said as a plus. It's cheap and good. I mean, those post holes are huge. They're almost the size of the iGo V2, and that was a $50 RDA. So now you're paying almost half for more airflow, a wider drip tip, and holes that are that big. I mean, that's pretty good. Another pro is that it comes with all 4 screws. I've gotten a couple lately that have been, they'll have an extra screw. or 2 extra screws. Never enough to actually use the full thing. If you lose all of them, which God forbid that ever happens, but if you do, hey, it comes with enough. The box comes in a beautiful presentation box, and I really like that you could see the 510 pin. I've always really liked that. It's just classy to me. Shows that they have nothing to hide. Let's see. Mostly the same pros as the Mutation X version 1, with the addition of the T-post design, which is my favorite design in RDAs. That drip tip. That drip tip. Thing is freaking monstrous. It's almost the size of a Chef Enough top. And that's stock. No modification needed. Alright, so on to the cons. This is a really subjective con, and it's mostly just an irritant to me that I know of. I know a couple other people who are kind of the same way, but I don't like grub nuts when it comes to my RDAs. I like a Phillips or a flathead screw. I like a screw. This is irritating to me. This little tool, because what happens if you lose this tool, huh? What happens? You're kind of screwed. Huh, no pun intended. So, anyway, like I said in the close-up, we have found that the needle file set that you can pick up at, well, the one I picked up was at Harbor Freight. You can use the triangular needle file on here and it will fit, it'll screw them down, and it will unscrew them. But still, I mean, I carry my needle files with me pretty much everywhere I go in my vape case. Not everyone has the same kind of vape case that I have. So I think they could have figured that out a little bit better. You know, just a little. Like on the version 1. I really like the version 1 screws. I mean, those things are pretty monstrous. I mean, maybe that's why they switched, since, you know, you can't have screws that big on a T-post design. Okay, alright, but you can still use screws. The Orchid version 3 that I have uses screws, and it's the same kind of design as this. The Igo MV2 still uses screws. Anyway, that's just my little rant about grub nuts. The only other con I can think of has to be the tension on these O-rings. I mean, that's ridiculous. For some people who actually enjoy showing off their builds, it's kind of hard to show off a build when you have to be like, oh yeah, look at this. Oh. The O-rings on here did not need to be, you know, the size of Mount Vesuvius. So, to end it off, I believe that this is a very solid RDA with a very solid price point. I would recommend, for those who really want to be a cloud chaser, you might like this. Because fully open on here, I don't even feel comfortable running anything under than like a 0.1. Disclaimer. Safe batteries. Know what you're doing. Don't just get this and be like, oh, well, he said I can run a 0.1 on there. Don't do it. Be safe. Because let me tell you, $35 RDA, not worth your hand or your face. So be careful. I've got a video coming up soon about battery safety and the ones that are out there and what I recommend and what I personally use. But for now, this is about a 0.2, and I'm running on a Sony VTC5. and she chugs. But just with how open it is, I'd love to run like a .08 on here just to see if it gets hot at all. So it gets a thumbs up from me, especially with how cheap it is. But here's the kicker about that: just because it's cheap, it's made with some really good products. I mean, it's a really solidly built piece. So I recommend it if you can afford it. Because I mean, I know that's a tank of gas, or a night out with the old lady. But hey, if you can afford it and you'd like it, I say go for it. What's the worst that can happen, right? Well, never mind. We don't want to talk about what the worst that can happen. So, thank you all again for coming. Sorry about this one being a little bit late too. I am getting over this. I can breathe again a little bit. So, hopefully we'll be able to start putting some more up more frequently. Just give us a little bit of time. Anyway, from mine to yours, happy vaping.